Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
Well, I don't have to tell you guys what a great Saturday it is. This is one of the best Saturdays in a long time. Not just because I'm back with Johnny Million. We were. I tried to broadcast from the Monsters of Rock cruise. It was just not happening. It was a nightmare. I felt
international waters.
I was. That's true. I was. I actually danced. I did the jumping splits during Panama. In international waters. I think that's the sign of a true international man of mystery. I'm proud of myself.
Sure,
but
should be.
But here we are live again, and what a great week for it. I mean, the news that's coming out, first of all, real international news. Yes, Joe Biden comes out yesterday and says he's convinced that Putin has made the decision to attack, which, by the way, if Putin doesn't attack, will be listed by the right wing as in the same category of, I think there's no reason why the Afghan government should fall. Both of these statements, by the way, I would put in the category of wishful thinking and technically a verbal chess move, where in the case of the Afghan government, when we were in the middle of trying to gather ourselves up to evacuate, it wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense, even if he thought so, for Biden to come out and go, man, this is a crap show. These guys aren't going to last 10 minutes after we get out of here. If I was any part of this government, I'd make a bolt for the door. There's a reason why you would come out and go, no, they'll hold it together on the news internationally, so that the rest of the world goes, especially the Taliban and others are like, no, these the Americans must have given them a secret weapon or something, right? Because they seem very confident all of a sudden, because that lack of confidence would have led to more death. So strategically, you come out and go, yeah, I'm not worried about them falling apart, even if you're like, we think they're going to fall apart 3 months after we leave, and it looks like weeks. We're still on the process of getting out. So I'm not going to come out here and tell you guys for real how bad the Afghan government and military is after we've poured bad money, good money after bad for 20 years in this situation, while we're trying to exit. Same thing goes with Vladimir Putin's plan to invade Ukraine. He very well may be in one of his push and pull back phases like he did with Crimea, which is what he moved up and then he withdrew and then he moved up and did it again. And on the third try, he, like Jim Jones and all other Kool-Aid messiahs in the past, got him to do it when they least expected it. So they charged in and they took Crimea and Donbass. Now he's ratcheting up his language in a very strange way. One of the things he said, the Kremlin has said over the last week, at least reported by the Pentagon, is that they believe, or they're stating that there's, oddly enough, genocide going on of Russians in Ukraine in the Donbass region. Big words.
We better get in there.
Now, here's the problem with the genocide part, is that there is no genetic difference of merit between Ukrainians and Russians. You know what I mean? You could say there's political violence, they're trying to drive out separatists, that kind of stuff. That would be, that if anything is going on at all, which I doubt, that would be the thing that you could actually claim with some sense of reality. But the idea that you're going to commit genocide against your cousins is odd, and has been part of, I think, Putin's problem worldwide with this as they've gone on.
Definitely poor word choice.
Yes, well, but they think it's the word that gets the world's attention, as it should. And as they say in the Boy Who Cried Wolf story, eventually the wolf did show up.
Yep.
So it's watching this play out and watching it is my belief that were Vladimir Putin a United States president, the entire conversation internally in our country would be about how this is a wag the dog moment, that they have 13% inflation. They have no other industry. All their other industries are collapsing effectively, except oil and gas. And even that, the rest of the world is actively working to find our way to weaning off that need. Because beyond your belief about climate change, beyond your belief about the validity or the ability of current technology in renewables to carry the energy weight of modern society, beyond all that, the inarguable lesson of the Middle East for the last 30 years for a lot of Americans, especially post 9/11, is why are we relying on a resource we don't have enough of to sustain ourselves for, and the work that we do? Why are we always finding ourselves having to buy this particular resource from the people that were lucky enough to be born on top of it? And they get to set the price, and they get to set the political standards by which it is exchanged. So we're in bed with dictators and violent, genocidal madmen at different parts of our society and playing, the least worst bad guy in the region, the shell game of monstrous human beings in all these circumstances, simply because the crucial aspect of our modern industrial society is based on a goo that comes out of the ground that they happen to be born on more of. And in the case of natural gas,
I like how it sounds when you say goo. I'm not sure why.
Thanks. Well, that's what it is, and I maybe it's just the visual aspect of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Kentucky when you say goo.
Yeah, that's true. It is. Well, it is where I was a baby. So, but the fact that we relied on the Middle East has been a lesson for a lot of us. I mean, the no blood for oil moniker and the post 9/11 world that we are now extracting ourselves from after 20 years in Afghanistan, because I don't know if anybody noticed, but Biden got us out when everybody else promised to. And we'll still be out when the midterm comes, and we'll still be out when the next presidential election comes around. And that is something that they're going to have to deal with. And yes. So when we look at this and us as a nation slowly but surely extracting ourselves from this, converting our city buses to natural gas, because that's something we have more of, for example, moving towards where industrial vehicles and factories can run on fossil fuels, but we can reach net zero by getting commuter cars almost entirely off that. Can you still buy a diesel truck or a gas truck at some point for the next 70 years? Or own a red Barchetta you keep in the at your country place that no one knows about? Sure. But the big shift away from fossil fuels for commuter uses, for regular consumer uses, is enough to get us off our reliance of Middle Eastern oil specifically, or even Venezuelan oil eventually. And the United States produces enough of it where we can purchase it on, first and foremost from these sources. Europe, unfortunately, has been behind the 8 ball in this situation in terms of natural gas. And Germany's need for the Nord Stream pipeline and all this has created a geopolitical Gordian knot that lifts Russia up artificially to a station in the world it lost in 1992, and that it only had in reality because it could hold a gun to the world's head. There has never been a time when the Soviet Union and Russia in the modern era has provided for its own people sufficiently enough to not have to hold the rest of the world hostage. in either system they had, either in their, socialist march towards communism that they never quite achieved, or their modern klepto gangster capitalist version of reality. Neither system, run by generally the same people, has been sufficient to care for the needs and the dreams of the Russian people. None of us are driving Russian cars. None of us are using Russian phones. And it's not because the Russians are not capable of technical advancement. Look at what they did with their space program. They just gave up on it. And the reality is, in my estimation, that we're getting a foreign view of one of the biggest wag the dogs in modern geopolitical history.
I hope so.
Because I don't doubt that he'd enter in, and I certainly know he needs some of that land for them to have any kind of future. But imagine being a country that big and that resource rich, and you need a strip of land the size of, Virginia for your country to survive. Obviously, you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of doing something wrong, Donald Trump had a very bad week. And a lot of the talk you're hearing about Hillary spied on my campaign and all that is to cover just what a horrifying week. And what a beautiful... Now, a lot of people wish he'd been locked up on January 7th, and why is Merrick Garland dragging his feet? When we come back, I'll tell you why you should be happy. This is taking the time it's taking. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We're on every Saturday, 9 to 11 Pacific time, 11 to 1 Central, noon to 2 New York time. And then if you're in a rowboat in the middle of the ocean, I can't tell you. I don't know which. You got to specify which ocean. You're breaking up. We'll be back right after this.